when John called, and he really put it clearly to me, and I greatly appreciate his openness and honesty. That's just, we don't get enough of that from our customers, and the feedback of how we saw us. And we were an old line manufacturing, doing batch and bulk processing. I knew that. I didn't know how to change it, and he was the lever to really start the change.
Yeah, it was from a difficult conversation that Dave asked for, all right? And that may be the most interesting part of this.
And I couldn't wrap my head around it, and then I went back to, when you can't come up with anything, start asking questions.
He came and looked for me and wanted to have this conversation. And it was about our supplier-customer relationship that wasn't going that well, to be very honest. And for me, the entire story is about what he did with that conversation.
So I immediately called John back and said, John, it was a very powerful conversation we had. I need to know if you have a name of someone that could help start this process.
People now clock out their jobs, or are learning to clock out their jobs after each operation, and that's kind of what we want to do up front.
In August, I received a call from the CEO of DC Electronics asking about the service that I provide. I found it refreshing. The first time I walked in here, I can usually tell when I go into a company, I can tell the atmosphere. When I walked into DC, it was a positive atmosphere.
She was quite amazed. This is our third consecutive year with record earnings, and she was amazed that we were, things were going well, and we still wanted to get better. Most of our clients, they have one foot in the grave and are trying to survive.
When you're having record years, your growth seems to be good, your business finances look good, and then a customer tells you you've got to change. That takes leadership. That takes extraordinary leadership to say, I need to listen to these people and figure out why, and then really do something about it and invest and follow through.
I facilitate change, and that's pretty much in 2 words, that's what I do. I do team building. I train people on the use of lean and Kaizen tools.
It was perfect timing, It was what we wanted to do. Never had the idea of where to start, how to do it, what it would look like, and the pieces started falling into place. An initial budget, what it would take, and what an initial timeline that we could start launching this stuff. So we just basically got all the resources that we'd need out of house, and then hired them for the balance of the year, basically full time, and then made the commitments. And we made the commitments across the board. I had to sit down with Ruben, VP of Operations, and say, we can't, this is what we're committing to. Here's the timeline, here's the budget, and we can't lose our stomach during the process, because there's going to be lots of opportunity to start getting weak in the knees.
Having been through it, numbers of times with companies, there's a lot of human, there's a lot of human issues that go on throughout these, real people's lives, real people's careers, real people being very uncomfortable, some having to leave, some being able to handle it, and some coming out the other end having grown immensely. And so it's not an easy thing. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Things are going phenomenal. We've had 3 great record years. Why would we want to change that formula? That's been the biggest challenge for me, is getting people to understand that this is going to benefit everybody even more so than the systems we had in place prior. We've been in business 30 years. We want to continue being in business for another 30 years. If you focus just on the bottom line, you're not ensuring your long-term stability.
We like the challenge. We like the idea that there's a sense of chaos. In certain areas, you can go in and kind of create some order.
Started, you know, all the wheels started turning and realized, well, we can't make this change without bringing in our, you know, our IT software people that own the software, because we're going to have to, you know, write all these changes in that so we can, you know, really automate this process change we're going through.
Starts at one end of the production facility, and in terms of you know, getting your raw materials and tracking, you know, that you're getting everything that you need, and you know, moving from one step to the next step along the production process, and then, you know, having a systematic way of tracking that information.
Ultimately, we want to mistake-proof our process, you know, not allow mistakes to happen. And some of the systems we're working with were loosely configured. Now programming is done, and our controls are in place.
There's some pieces beyond just the sheer collection of data, though, because it's important to not just take the data, but also provide sort of a workflow for it. So when we have the data, and as we're moving through the system and collecting it, we're also helping to prompt what are the right places that this should go to, and what are the appropriate actions and options, and that helps to reduce training issues. That helps to ensure that quality is consistent, because, you know, the path is already designated. So in addition to data, there's also a whole lot of control system and structure that we put into place.
Right.
So.
It's been trying at times, but all in all, you know, it's been rewarding too, in the sense that, you know, after a week or two of training and then getting more comfortable, and then finally, you know, kind of seeing how it's kind of connecting the dots, so to speak, that, you know, there's almost a sense of relief on their faces now, and smiles, right? So that comes full circle.
What I would believe to be the biggest gain is the re-energization of the corporation. People are energized, they're collaborating. There's bottom line benefits, that's true, but the ability to have everybody work as a team and satisfy customer requirements, that's what's going to ensure DC to be an ongoing concern, and that's what we're ultimately looking for.
When we started this process, the one thing DC was great at, delivering cables, it was not great at changing the whole system, right? But once we got underway and started the change, then I realized that, oh, our organization now is great at change.
They have to be flexible, they have to be adaptable, they have to be agile. And if that gets them that, and they are used to change being part of their everyday lives, it's enormous.